Hello everyone, it's DuckFairy07. Today we are playing Tidebinder Rhinos and this card is working insane in this list. It's exactly what this deck needed. It's a 3 mana, 3/2 creature with flash that acts as a stifle, and together with Subtlety, Brazen Borrower, Fury, it's a great plan B. Also, it's a wizard, it supports Flame of Anor, which is another very good card for the deck. Okay, so Tidebinder also deals with all the Rhinos hate. If you have like Footfalls coming on for the suspend, you can counter the Shardless of the Void. If they're like cracking the engineered explosives to kill your Rhinos, you can counter that too. Okay, so these are the two most common hates, and Tidebinder deals with that, but it's not doing just that. It counters the fetch abilities, it counters the Urza Saga, it counters all creature with ATBs, that's including free elementals. It can do a lot of stuff. It can also counter the Undying effect, and really there is no deck in Modern that this card is completely useless to. Okay, sometimes it will be 3 mana, 3. Your opponent will have 0 cards in hand. You will have to just apply some pressure, and sometimes you will play this as a 3 mana 3/2 beater, and that is totally fine. But in lot of cases it's very relevant, and there are not many matchups where this card ain't good. So this is the list. I did 9-1 in my first 10 matches with this list, and it performed amazing. I don't want to change a card. The changes I was considering so far are adding 1 of Mutavault and 1 of Murktide, but I don't feel like either of these changes are really important for the list or bring me something I don't have already. Mutavault didn't feel necessary because I'm playing 4 Tidebinders in this list. Maybe if I'm playing 3 then or 2, then 1 Mutavault would be better. And also 1 of Murktide, I think it is decent, but this list is already playing slightly more creatures and less spells, so Murktide becomes a little bit worse, but it's still very good and this list can support it well. 1 off would be good. Okay, so Fury in this list, I think it is very good, and I think it's one of the cards that work really good in the Rhinos. If you have enough red cards to support this card, I think you should play it. I think Mystical Dispute at the moment doesn't have enough of the relevant matchups to play it in the main, so I lost a lot of times against Rhinos playing Mystical Dispute because I was on Counterspell, I was on Pierce, there were a lot of blue based decks in a Modern playing a counterspell and a cheap interaction, and yeah, of course you wait for turn 4, play a bit slower game, and then go for the Rhinos holding Dispute, and you win easily against the Permission. But also hating Teferi in the main, but there is just not that many decks that play this strategy at the moment. So of course there are some control versions of Beans, but they are not that often in the metagame, and Murktide has really fallen off. Maybe it will come back with Tidebinder also being very good in that deck, but at this moment of the recording I don't think it is necessary in the main board, and I think some other cards could be better right now, especially since we are dealing with 20-30% of scam metagame. Dispute is just very bad there, and having Fury in for that matchup I think improves your odds a lot. So Subtlety plus Fury, and that is the recipe to win this. Okay, also Tidebinder, it's not good in starting hand in the scam matchup, but it's very good if you draw it in the mid game. It can counter Fury ATB, it can counter Grief ATB, it can counter Fable, Bowmaster, also like Sheldred, and when you counter this ability they lose all abilities while the Tidebinder is on the field, so it can be very powerful card. Okay, so we have third Fury on the sideboard, 2 Commandeers on the side have been great. Disputes also excellent in those matchups where you need it. They're just very good, but I don't think they're main boardable worthy at the moment. Of course, Blood Moons and Classics, Endurance, Force of Vigor, that's it. Okay, so let's go to the gameplay. The league we are going to see was a 5-0 league, first trophy of the season, and the deck felt almighty, just incredibly powerful. And yeah, okay, so let's go check the game 1. Starting first, mulliganing to 6, keeping decent hand. We have turn 1 Suspend Footfalls, turn 3 Shardless Agent. That's not like crazy good, but it's decent. Okay, so of course going for Triome on turn 2 and just casting my Shardless Agent on turn 3, hoping to resolve it. My opponent doesn't have a counterspell and I resolve my first Rhinos. Okay, so on opponent's turn they go for a Teferi and I decide to pitch cast a Subtlety here to prevent next attack. My opponent is already on 9 and they have to have something good to get out of this situation. Okay, so unfortunately my top deck was a land here. I needed something more useful, and opponent was able to cast their Teferi, find a land and also find a prismatic ending. This was just really good for my opponent, also preventing me from resolving my suspended footfalls. So the Teferi really did a good job there. Okay, so it ended up better for opponent than if I just let the Teferi resolve last turn. But now I put my opponent to 6 life, play the Fury, present lethal for the next turn. But at this point opponent had a Beanstalk on the field and they draw well. Their verdict is probably like one-off in their deck or something like that. And I think they were Bring to Light deck. And I draw 3 and find the Force of Negation, which is like really good, but didn't have a blue card for pitch casting and drawing another land and then go on in this matchup, which is very useless. Opponent goes Amulet into Scapeshift to win immediately, and that is the game. Let's check out the game 2. Okay, so let's check out my sideboarding plan for Bring to Light matchup. Trimming 1 Tidebinder, trimming 2 Subtleties, 2 Furies. All of these cards are really not that necessary. I brought in just a couple of Force of Vigors and some disputes. Disputes are good, great against Bring to Light, great against Amulet, great against the Teferi. So when the dispute is good, it's like really good. And this is a situation in match 1 where I was able to cast Tidebinder on turn 3 and counter the fetch. I chose to do this play instead of just playing the Rhinos, and this way I was able to play the Rhinos and hold the dispute. That was really good. Opponent again had Prismatic Ending plus Leyline Binding, a lot of removal for them, so they get rid of my first Rhinos. But yeah, now I was just attacking with Tidebinder and had a lot of decent cards. I had multiple options here. I decided to go for draw 3 and risk this turn opponent doing something good, and they did cast a Teferi but didn't find a land they needed, so they just passed the turn. I already countered 1 fetch. That probably like screwed their plan a bit. And yeah, my opponent was now on 7. End of turn I cast the Borrower, attack for 6, put them on 1 life. And I have Mystical Dispute, I have Lórien, I have Flame of Anor, a lot of good cards right now, and I dispute their Omelette, and that is the game. Okay, let's check out the game tree. Okay, so this is decent hand. I have Flame of Anor to deal with opponent's Shellers. I have a Blood Moons. They have difficulty with their mana base. They play Valakuts. A lot of Triumphs, 3 or 4 or even more in some lists. And yeah, obviously a Blood Moon and a Force of Vigor to deal with both Cascade Hate and Dryad can be pretty good. I had pretty good hand here. I really wanted to put this Blood Moon on the field, but I was waiting to find another basic, and when I find another island I decide to go for it. All the cards in my hand were blue, so I was pretty good with resolving Blood Moon at this point. So I was able to cast like all spells from my hand, and I could do it. All instant speed, end of their turn, which is great because I have a force to back up to protect my spells. So I go for Subtlety first. Try to put something on the field to start attacking. Opponent pitch casting Solitude. Hoping to find probably like basics or some solution to Blood Moon, but yeah, this is pretty hard situation for them. Yeah, they are not that likely to get to find their basics, and I have a lot of draw spells, casting second Lórien Revealed, and I also have a Flame of Anor, but I don't have to hurry it. I can wait end of their turn to draw 2 more with Flame. And yeah, they pass again. They were mana screw this time, and I decided to go for Force of Vigor, killing Shellys, finding a forest, and resolving Rhinos, which with disputes and forces in hand means game over. And that was it. Yeah, that was match 1. I attacked 2 turn clock, and that is the match. Okay, so let's check out match 2. Okay, so playing second but have Gemstone Caverns. No cascade spells this time. Just Force, Flame of Anor and Tidebinder. Okay, so passing the turn. Hoping to go for Tidebinder on turn 3 and then Flame of Anor turn after that. Finding my Ketria Triome, of course. And passing the turn, hoping to do something next turn with Tidebinder. And I had opportunity to counter a fetch there. Decided not to do it, but I went for Tidebinder countering the Grist ability. This makes Grist not do lose all their abilities, of course. So now I went for 5 damage to Wall of Roots and suspend the Rhinos, and still attacking the Grist in case if they kill the Tidebinder. Okay. So I put Grist on 1 loyalty counter, and I was a bit afraid to attack here, so I decided against it. No attacks. I could have killed the Grist. They didn't have anything at this point. But I didn't want to risk it, so yeah, just play my Rhinos, pass the turn. Opponent then finds Yawgmoth and plays the Arbor, which means yeah, they didn't have anything last turn, but I would be in a much better situation if I attacked. So I went for Violent Outburst here, resolving more Rhinos and putting my opponent to 5 life, and there is like a lot of Rhinos on the field right now, but they went for they had a Geist and the Young Wolf and a lot of these -1 counters on my creatures, and yeah, so with one proliferate ability, it's becoming harder and harder for me to have a good attack. And yeah, this was my last chance. I need to do something relevant here, unless my opponent is really going to recover. So I don't have much options but to attack with everything. And opponent goes for proliferate, and yeah, they didn't lose actually any life, but they did lose Yawgmoth, but also gained that grist, which was now very relevant. And yeah, if I attacked that turn with Tidebinder, they would not have grist now, which would make a lot of difference. And yes, yeah, so basically they played another Yawgmoth, and this was now a hard situation for me. I still had a game here. I was hoping to go for another turn and then try attack with everything. And opponent had another proliferate ability available to them, and had a lot of blockers plus Zulaport on the field. I decided, yeah, I didn't even check my draw. I just conceded and went for the game 2. Okay, so in the game 2 against Yawgmoth, let's see the sideboarding game plan. Trimming one Tidebinder, trimming Borrower. I think like Borrower is pretty useless in this matchup. Trimmed just one Subtlety and 2 Force of Negations. Didn't even trim all forces. Forces can be useful against them, countering Eldritch Evolution, Chord of Calling. Yeah, okay, so brought in 2 Endurance, 2 Force of Vigor to deal with their graveyard hate. And that's it. Caverns, of course, come in on the draw. And that's it. Okay, so opponent goes for Fulminator Mage, which is like totally fine. I can resolve my Rhinos, and then I have Lórien to give me another land. I have Endurance, so I'm safe from from Agatha or stuff like that. So they kill my land, I find my Rhinos. I'm not sure that this land destroying game plan is worth it against Rhinos. Especially on the draw, seems like too slow. Okay, opponent fetches and goes for Sheldred. I have Subtlety here, but decide against Subtlety because I can just Flame of Anor their Sheldred and attack for 8, put them on 2 life, which means like pretty impossible situation for them to get out, unless of course they have Legion's End, that is the sideboard card played in Yawgmoth, and yeah, they find it, the Legion's End, but still their opponent is on 2 life, and I have pretty good chance of killing them, either by end turn casting Subtlety or just Endurance attacking and stuff like that. But I find Fire immediately to end the game, and that was it. So let's check out the game 3. Okay, so in the game 3 I had, it was a 1-lander, but I had 2 Lóriens. So I top deck Crashing Footfalls. I decide like I'm not probably not going to. It's not going to be necessary to play Fire Ice on turn 2. I can probably just go Lórien and find a tap land, or find a basic and just find Steam Vents on their turn. So this way, if they have Fulminator, they can't kill my basic, and I can resolve the Rhinos on my turn. Of course, then finding Vents. Opponent cording for 2, finding the Soulless Jailer. I have to get rid of Jailer, can't cast my Rhinos, so I use my Flame of Anor immediately. And unfortunately they have Agatha Soul Cauldron on the field, which can be very powerful, but this time they didn't have a Grist in the graveyard or on the field, which is like really good for me. And I resolve my Rhinos. Opponent tries to resolve the Soulless Jailer. I have another Subtlety for it, and they decide to concede. That is the match. Okay, so let's check out match 3. Okay, so these first 2 matches were actually the closest ones among all 10 matches I played. All other matches were very easy. So going for the forest here, I have a turn 2 Steam Vents and Ice their land, then Tidebinder on turn 3 if I don't find a Cascade spell. Opponent goes for another tablet. They were playing Eldrazi Tron, and Eldrazi Tron actually plays a Chalice of the Void in the main, so it can be a really tricky matchup. Playing the Totnots, which they can cast early, plus Chalice, but I was able to counter the Tidebinder ability, so they didn't see my hand. And now Totnot loses all abilities. That includes the ability when it's dying and I'm drawing a card. But if my Tidebinder dies first, then gain that ability, and I still will get to draw a card when Totnot dies. Okay, so opponent goes for another Totnot, and now I can hardcast my Subtlety, target Totnot, and then finally start attacking with this Subtlety of also trying to find the land so I can hardcast the Fury. I resolve my Rhinos, which was very good. Icing their Totnot so I can attack for 7, and I have very good attack next turn, and I have 5 mana to cast a Fury, so pretty good situation for me. Also have the Force of Negation for the 1 ring. Tidebinder is also great against ring. It can counter the ring ability and make it useless, but this time I use Force, and on my turn I have Fury, but I decide to go for the Fury post combat. This way I trade with Reality Smasher and kill the Reality Smasher and have a lot of power on the field for the next turn, and opponent concedes. That is the game. Okay, so let's check out the game 2. Okay, so keeping a 1-lander and Lórien in game 2 with Force of Vigor and the Blood Moon. Opponent goes for Tablet and plays the Expedition map. So now I decide to kill the Chalice, kill the map, and hoping to find that third land, but I didn't get it. I suspend the Footfalls and just waiting for that land so I can hopefully play Blood Moon, but since I didn't get the basic, there's no point in playing Blood Moon, and I just pitch cast the Fury, kill the Karn, and pass the turn. So it was not a good situation for me. Actually pretty hard, stuck on 2 mana. I don't have my Footfalls, only the one on suspend, and opponent has a Reality Smasher. Yeah, so pretty hard situation. Opponent attacking again. This time I decide to use the Petty Thefts, so I must discard the card. Not doing a good job here with the Petty Theft, but I have to do something to not die. And at least I resolve my Rhinos, so I'm kind of back in the game right now. So I have Rhinos now on the field. I can deal with Smasher and the Totnot. I use ice on the top knot to try to find that third land, and yeah, finally find it. So now situation has changed, and what was very tricky and hard situation for me now seemed like pretty doable, and I was able to play the outburst, trade with Smasher, put two more rhinos on the field, and put my opponent to 15. Now opponent plays the one ring, which is unfortunate. Means next turn I can't I can't attack. But yeah, I just passed the turn with the Brazen Borrower. Didn't want to overcommit to play another Shardless, so I was just holding Brazen Borrower to play end of turn. And yeah, luckily I didn't play my second Shardless, but hold it in my hands. I was able to now cast the Shardless, get two more Rhinos on the field, and continue attacking with Brazen. So again, once again, opponent had to deal with Rhinos. If they can't deal with them next turn, they will most probably like die very fast. So I get the Brazen attacks, putting my opponent to 11. They have one ring on the field, doing more damage to them in the upkeep. So now they're on 9 and they have to find some solutions. Opponent goes for Ugin, kills one of the Rhinos, plays Reality Smasher, Meta Reshaper, and another Chalice on 0. Okay, so I go Flame of Anor, kill the Reality Smasher, discard a land from my hand, and attack with my two creatures, trading with Totnot, getting a land. And now my opponent is on 6 and they have the one ring, dealing them 3 damage, so they're now on 3 and they have to deal with their own ring or their die, and I guess they didn't find solution for their ring and they'll just die to their ring next turn, so they concede and that is the match. Okay, so let's check out match 4. Okay, so match 4, one lander with two Lóriens, that is pretty decent, very keepable. Okay, opponent playing expedition map, so I just go for Lórien and another Lórien of course on their turn, so I can resolve Shardless. On turn 3 opponent plays a Beanstalk, and they're obviously like expedition map and there's a saga, which means like they're like that timeless amulet, or is it called like that, something like that. Yeah, they go for ancient stirrings here, finding a Golos, playing a turf, getting 3 mana, just another stirrings and another amulet, which means potentially next turn they could have a lot of mana. Yeah, so I had multiple options here, but I think the best thing to do here is not go for the Tidebinder, but to immediately just kill the amulet before their turn starts. Just try to give them as little mana as possible. They just went for Escape to the Wilds and exile a bunch of useless cards, and that was the game. Next turn I have exactly lethal, and that is the game. So let's check out the game 2. Okay, so sideboarding plan is very easy against amulet decks. So of course 3 Force of Vigors come in. They go turn 1 amulet plus saga. That's very nice for Force of Vigor, and I also decide to go Force of Negation immediately, stripping myself from a lot of resources, but opponent also didn't have much, and I went for Flame of Anor, drawing me. I was able to kill Expedition Map if I wanted, but I decided to draw 2 and then force their amulet. Okay, so I didn't have anything at this point, but I had 4 lands and opponent had just a 2. So all my top decks are alive at this point. And okay, so let's see the sideboarding plan. Again, I trimmed just one Subtlety, one Tidebinder. These cards are very good in this matchup, but there are some sideboard cards that are even better, so I had to make room for those. And yeah, Dead Gones and Furies, these cards are not really good in this matchup, so I board all those out, and Borrower also, it's kind of useless too. And yes, so now I killed their Timeless Lotus, and I have Subtlety plus Tidebinder in my hand. And yeah, so now I'm opponent is just 2 mana on the field. I have 6 passing the turn with 2 creatures that are very good against them. I can counter their abilities or put something on top, but they just pass the turn, not do anything, so I decide go for the Subtlety. Just I need to start attacking here, pressuring my opponent. And I go for Subtlety to start attacking. Of course, finding another force from the top. Didn't want to cast it immediately. I want to like... I didn't feel it's necessary. So I was just holding it in case they play another artifact spell. But yeah, it was maybe now time to do it. I should have done it right now. But yeah, I had a Tidebinder, so unfortunately I had yielded to Amulet ability, so I was not able to play Tidebinder on Amulet here. So unfortunately they got the mana to play the Escape the Wilds. My plan was to play the Tidebinder on Amulet, and that was really unfortunate, because I had yielded on the Amulet ability, so I was not... the game didn't give me time to respond to the ability. Yeah, but it was fine. They discarded a bunch of useless cards again, like 3 Golos and Cultivated Colossus. So now I had resolved my Rhinos and had a bunch of very good cards in my hand, passing the turn with Subtlety, Force and Tidebinder that covers basically anything they could have. And that is the game and the match. And let's check out the match 5, the last match for the trophy. Okay, so playing first, a pretty good hand. This is like classic Rhino stuff. Turn 2, Fire Ice into turn 3 Rhinos. Opponent was on Scam, and they decided to get rid of the Subtlety, which means like they probably had either Fury Scam or Grief Scam. And I still went for Fire Ice. Sorry, it wasn't a Scam, it was Coffers. It was Coffers, and I went typical turn 2 Fire Ice, turn 3 Shardless, resolve the Rhinos. My opponent playing a lot of removal, but yeah, it's not that easy to deal with so many Rhinos. And now I decided to go for the Outburst immediately, pump my guys on the field, put 2 more Rhinos. This is almost impossible for them to deal with unless they have Damnation next turn. They didn't find the Damnation, so that was pretty close to lethal, but they had March to survive on 4 life. Next turn, it's a pretty important turn for them. They can resolve the One Ring or Damnation, but they didn't find... I tap a land in the upkeep, they didn't find that cards, and that was the game. Very quick game 1 against Coffers, and let's check out the game 2. Okay, so let's check out the sideboarding plan against the Coffers. Furies not good, and also Dead Gones are not really useful. We have enough creatures like Fire Ice to deal with Bowmaster, and also a Subtlety to deal with Sheldred, and also there is Commandeer. Commandeer is great card in against ring decks. taking their ring with Commandeer can really be very powerful. And you know, I was like 2 Blood Moons on the field and Commandeer in hand, Rhinos on suspend, also finding another Shardless to find more Rhinos, and that is like really a strong position for me. If they play anything that's like really good, I just Commandeer that, and yeah, went for the Karn, and opponent conceded at this point, and that was the match in the last trophy game, and that was it, the entire league. Yeah, the deck is really strong. Tidebinder doing incredible job. It was even better in the second league I played, which also should have been like a trophy league if I didn't punt in my last trophy match. So basically in all 10 matches I played, the deck was very dominant, seemed very powerful. I definitely believe this is a new tier 1 deck in Modern, among top 3 best decks, and they will be played a lot on MTGO. Already there's like 1 Rhinos every league, and I think it will get even more popular, and I think the Tidebinder is a real card for this archetype and really can improve it greatly. Okay, so that is it. Hope you like the gameplay, hope you like the video. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe. Tell me about your experience with Tidebinder in the Rhinos. Also, currently I'm trying it in the Murktide. There is my list on my Twitter profile. It's doing great in the Murktide deck too, and it could also like boost the Murktide strategy. Blue-red, of course, the classic one. And okay, so that is it. Again, thank you for watching and goodbye.